Welcome back. You're still watching Closing Bell East Africa out of Nairobi. Now, the placement of 2 banks under statutory management and a host of other concerns that have been raised about the Kenyan corporate space has brought issue about good auditing practice. And is there a role for this, and how can we promote this? Well, here to discuss the role of auditing in corporate governance is Ashif Kassam. He is the executive chairman at RSM East Africa, I should say that. And congratulations on the rebranding.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ashif, there's a lot to talk about, but you, from where you see it, obviously there's a lot of light right now on auditing firms and the need for this. But this is not just an entirely Kenyan problem, it's an East African challenge. Why is it that a lot of corporates are finding it hard right now to keep to the laws?
I think first we need to understand this is not an East African issue, it's a global issue.
Right.
Okay? And there's been a lot of challenge on the audit profession, and is it doing its role? Mm-hmm. I think there are 2 or 3 things we need to understand. One is that in the initial days when audit was the single most important aspect in bringing financial confidence into the financial statements, today the complexity of financial organizations, the types of transactions that are there have become more complex. Okay? And so auditing requires special skills. Secondly is the fees around audit. Okay? Are the fees realistic? With those
so are
fees,
these prohibitive? Do they encourage shortcuts?
I think, to an extent it is, because, if you need the expertise, you need to pay for that expertise. So the issue of audit fees, if you want somebody to come and give you a complete financial health of a bank and you're paying that person 2-3 million shillings, is it enough? Okay? So, but the competitive nature is that today there are 900 audit firms in Kenya, so there's always competition amongst the firms, and fees is a critical issue. Okay? So the second aspect is, are adequate resources being put in audit? The third is, are the rules adequate? My sense is yes, the rules are there. The problem is, are they being followed? I don't think so always they are being followed. Are people doing the basics of audit? People are not always doing the basics of audit. So the issue is, one, how do you get back to the basics? How do you understand, how do you ensure audit is done properly? But also have, a cap like on legal fees, and I think INSPEC is trying to do that. So there is no undercutting, and people are able to deploy the correct resources to do a proper audit.
Actually, let me just jump in on the issue of cost, because most of the companies having corporate governance issues and audit issues are not startups. These are companies that are well established, they have their budgets. Why is the temptation to not just pay?
I think it's the competition. Demand and supply is one. If you're getting it cheaper next door, you'll go to it. But secondly, it's not only the issue of competition. I think, are the auditors truly equipped in this modern world to audit complex organization and complex entities? Are the accountants themselves equipped with enough IT knowledge, okay, to be able to understand the complexities of IT? So I think one is the fee, but secondly also the issue of how do we equip the auditors, to understand the complex transaction and how to audit the complex transactions.
You've spread into the region now as RSM. How would you what is the climate like in terms of corporate governance and auditing?
I think it's a choice that, one makes, okay? We try and associate. We have always said we are not going to be a firm that's going to be undercutting on fees. We have always said that we are going to be a niche auditor. We are not going to have masses and, have a number of staff and then, make a mistake somewhere. So we run a very tightly controlled ship. We ensure that we work with organizations, that have good corporate governance, and that's one of the critical aspects of, taking on new clients. And thirdly, also is ensuring that once we're committed, whatever resources it takes, we ensure that things are done. So in the context of banking or insurance, one of the fundamental things that we even do as an audit firm is when the trial balance is being generated from the core banking system, we make sure our IT person is there, even if it's during the audit. We generate one, we make sure that the core, our IT guy is there, we ensure a senior manager or a partner is there to ensure that you're getting the right information from the right place.
Right. So it's just about just keeping to your laid down procedures.
Yes, I think the procedures are there. It makes sure that you enforce them.
Right. Ashif, we have to leave it there because we have to jump onto something else. But Ashif Kassam is Executive Chairman at RSM East Africa. They just rebranded, looking at the corporate governance in the East African space.